Welcome back, agents, to another episode of Prime Tips. This time we're going to be talking about some changes that's been in the scanner and a little bit of information about Machina. So there's been a number of things that have been added, a number of things that have been taken away. So let's look at the things that they started by taking away. And probably the biggest one that you may have noticed is your quantum capsules are gone. There was a kind of a quantum capsule trade-in. So they retired the quantum capsule, and when they took the quantum capsule out of your inventory, if you had one, they were only hackable. Each Qcap was replaced with one regular rare capsule and a kinetic capsule. So the kinetic capsule gives you 3 duplication use, and then it goes away. And the contents that you had in your quantum went into the regular capsule. So it's kind of a 2-for-1 deal, but the quantum capsules just kind of duplicated on their own. The kinetic capsules, now you have a limit of 7 that you can run at one time, and you can only use them 3 times, and then they go away. So if you have a card or a code that included quantum capsules, those will be replaced with kinetic capsules. So if you were going to get 2 Qcaps, you'll get 2 Kcaps. And you can buy kinetic capsules in the store for 2,000 CMU each. So the programs that you can run with those kinetic capsules has not changed just yet. They are considering some new programs. And one of the big things that I heard from agents when the quantum capsule went away is the loss of being able to duplicate keys. Key farming is now going to be more of a deal that you have to go out and get them, because at this present time there's no way to duplicate keys. So you gotta, put on frackers and get those keys if you need a whole bunch of them if you don't have them already. The talk is that they're going to change the programs that are available in the kinetic capsules. And one of the things that they're talking about is a keys for keys program. So I think that probably will be put in, 15 of the type of keys that you don't really care about, and then give one of the keys that you want those keys to become, and eventually it'll turn it into those keys. There's no information as to how many that's going to be or how that really works, but that's kind of my guess. They're also talking about a mods to resonators or mods to bursters program that they may add to the kinetic capsule. So we'll see as those come along. But why did they do it? Well, one of the big things is that they always talk about agents need to move, and if you have a quantum capsule, you don't need to move. It just does what it does. So this forces you to get out and move if you want to duplicate items. Also, my personal opinion is it's a good thing for revenue. It's a revenue generator for Niantic. If people really want to duplicate things, they're going to spend the money to get the CMU to go out and buy the kinetic capsule and then to create them. So it is a bit of a revenue generator. Also, in my eyes, I kind of see it as a gear balancing feature, because it just seems that with COVID, they made things easier for people to get gear because you couldn't get out and move. And now it just seems like there is a gear glut. Now, I know a lot of old-time players and players have been around said, gear glut's been a thing forever, and that's probably true. But it just seems to me, with just the 7 or 8 years that I've played, that it's a lot easier now to get gear than it was, say, 7 years ago. So it might be a way of backing off that gear glut, especially the higher-end things that you could duplicate. I mean, it used to be you could duplicate all kinds of things with the quantum capsules, and they pulled that back a little bit. So that's one of the things they took away. What did they add? Well, one of the things they added was the auto confirmation pickup, which is kind of a neat thing. It's a lab setting, and we'll show you how to find that here in a minute, but you have to go down in your settings to labs and make sure that it's on if you want to use it. And basically, if you have an item on the ground, all you got to do is tap it, and it will identify it and pick it up at the same time, instead of having to identify it and then another tap to say, yes, I'll take it. So it's quicker, especially if you're in those areas where a Machina portal is what we'll see here, and there's a bunch of stuff on the ground. You have that Machina litter that just explodes whenever you kill one of those. And you want to, if you want to pick all that stuff up, this makes that process much quicker. You still may see it hit in the carousel. So if you have 4 or 5 items that are really close and you hit on one, it may not know which one you want, and you may see kind of the choice carousel to come up. Let's take a look at that.
Agent Dewey J in the field on a very cold night in Illinois. We're going to look at a new feature, the auto pickup feature. So you'll have to update your scanner if you don't see it. To see it, start settings all the way at the bottom. Oops.
It was so cold my fingers weren't
You won't
working.
be able to hear me. All the way down to bottom. Lab Innovations Auto Confirm Item Pickup. So we should see that go off whenever we do an attack here. So we'll throw off an L8 and see what happens. Get a whole bunch of Machina here. Here we go.
XM reserves. Resonator destroyed.
So when I look at items,
Acquired. Resonator
all I do is
acquired.
tap them
Resonator acquired.
and they pick up.
Resonator
So I don't have to
acquired.
see what's
XM
what.
reserves. 100%. Portal key acquired. Force amp
So
acquired.
items automatically pick up quickly. Unless it goes to the
Portal key
carousel.
acquired.
So here this won't go to the carousel.
Resonator
So it just picked it up. This won't go to the
Resonator
carousel, it just picks it
acquired.
up. But if I'm so close that it's going to go to the carousel,
Resonator acquired. Resonator acquired.
it will have to stop.
Resonator
So, that's the
acquired.
auto pickup.
Resonator acquired. Resonator
More later.
acquired. Resonator acquired.
Yeah, it was so cold that things weren't working when I tapped the phone, because it was just so cold outside that it wasn't sensing my finger. So it was kind of a cold night. But there were some other changes also. The cooldown timer has gotten more precise. So it used to be that the cooldown timer kind of went in, I would say, ranges or clusters of time, so to say. So, you know, when it would get so far down, it would say 30 seconds. And if you did it again, if you tried to hack again, it would still say 30 seconds until it started saying 15 seconds. And then it would eventually start saying, 10 seconds or 5 seconds. But it didn't give you a precise. So with the newer update, with the 2.108.1 update, it now gives you exact times on those.
Agent Dewey J in the field. A cold Illinois night, a little warmer than the last time. I think my fingers are going to be warm enough that I can actually touch the screen and get it to react. We're going to be looking at the time between hacks. And it used to be that it did those kind of in halves. So I hacked this just a little bit ago. Let's hack it again and see what we get. 109 seconds. So it used to be that whenever you first hacked it, it would say 200 seconds, and then it would say 1 minute, and then it would say 30 seconds, then it would say 15. So they have changed it now that you get an exact time, 92 seconds, that's left between hacks. So
now you may notice in the background it was still saying 2 minutes remaining. So the display is giving you the exact time, but the audio is still kind of doing it the old-fashioned way.
So instead of having something that goes from, say, 30 to 15 down to 5, it actually gives you the exact time between hacks. So you know exactly how long it's going to take before you can get that next hack in. So a little more precision, something with the new scanner that they probably couldn't have done in redacted. So there you have it. Thanks.
And he knows there at the end that it said 1 minute remaining because it got below 60 seconds. So 2 minutes, 1 minute, 30 seconds, 15, and on down. So the audio is not the precision, but you actually have the precision in what you see on the screen. So those are changes. And again, we can talk about the big change that's been in the game, the Machina portals. Machina seems to be here to stay, the red faction. And we've been doing some research on Machina to kind of figure out how they work, what they do, what they don't do. So I thought I'd pass along some of the things that we've kind of figured out with Machina. Again, not all this stuff is 100%. There are a few 100% things that we have, but we've been doing studies. I personally have been looking at watching a cluster for almost 3 weeks now, and just every day pulling in information. It's kind of interesting the things that you find. We still kind of find about every 5 hours based on the entity timestamp, and I'll show you how to find that entity timestamp. The Machina portal will take some sort of action. So that might be that it decays by 5%, it levels and links and charges. So it seems like every 5 hours or so it's going to do that. And also the 24-hour period is where you'll see it definitely do things within 24 hours. The Machina still, as far as we can tell, we've never seen it do anything but link to a neutral portal. So we've never seen it link to another Machina portal. We've never seen it link to a resistance or an enlightened portal. Since it does that, it has no way to field. So all links go to a neutral. You'd have to eventually on one of those links to get a field, you'd have to link back into one that's owned by the faction that's making the field. So we won't see it make fields if that continues. But the linking is crazy. It is not, doesn't seem to have any restrictions on how it links. So it can cross its own links, it can cross resistance links, it can cross enlightened links. So the cross-linking, it doesn't exist. Now, however long those links are, there is a limit. So regular agents, enlightened and resistance, cannot cross a link that's made by Machina. Now, Machina can cross ours and cross its own with no problem. But we have been doing some studies on how long the links are. And depending upon the level of the Machina portal, we've not seen, I don't think we've seen anything that's been a level 1 and have a link. So it does seem it has to level and link. So that's why we start at level 2. And you get about 500 meters on that. Level 3, about 750. Level 4, 1,000. Level 5, 1,500. Level 6, 2,000. Level 7, 3,000. You notice it's making bigger jumps here. And level 8, we're guessing that limit is 5,000 meters. We've seen one that's 4,996 meters long. So we're guessing that limit is 5. So the limits for linking, the distance, is different than the distance you will see with regular agents making links. So they will make a cluster and they'll make a mess, but they tend not to make a big mess, so to say. Some of the other things, outgoing links, where we have a limit of 8 unless you throw on S-bowls, which we can get up to 40. We don't see any of the Machina have any mods, but we do see that they're able to make more than 8 links. The seed portal, or the origin portal of the cluster that I'm looking at, has now got 21 outgoing links. We've observed up to 26. So we don't really know what that is. We're thinking it's somewhere in the 30s, maybe 36. But we're not sure. A cluster, if a cluster is wiped out, I mean, if you wipe it out completely, it will come back in many cases. Areas that have had a cluster in it before do seem to be more apt to get a cluster again. So if you clean something out, it's apt to come back. Areas that haven't had one, of course, we don't know if it's going to get one. We don't know exactly what is the impetus to make it show up in an area other than the spread. And we'll talk about the spread here in a minute. There seems to be some bit of inoculation in Machina portals themselves. So if you have a Machina portal and you blow it up and it becomes a neutral portal again, there seems to be a delay before that Machina portal will become a Machina portal again, whether that's through a link or a spawn or something like that. It might be 24 hours, 36 hours. We're not really sure, but it doesn't seem that it hits them very quickly. Again, that could just be by random chance because we really don't know, other than being within range, so to say, and it being a neutral portal, we don't know how they choose what portals that they're going to link to. The growth of the cluster is definitely something that is exponential. At least the graphs that I'm looking at, it seems to be on I'm hoping a bell curve. I'm hoping that eventually it's going to decay and come down. But it's not a straight, so many every round kind of growth. And it also isn't a random that it, becomes very, very large, very small, very large, very small. It seems to kind of have a ramp, but that's a little bit different, as we'll see, because of the spawns that you have. Cluster decay, we don't really know. We think it's going to be very, very slow. Could be 3 weeks or more for a cluster to decay. We're seeing some portals that'll hit 5% charge in Machina and then they'll die out. So when you see that 5% mark, they may, within the next 5 or 24 hours, die out. There's some that seem to sit at that 5% for a long time and may come back up. So the 5% indicator doesn't tell us, hey, it's going to die, as we thought before. It just says that it might die because they seem to lose 5% charge every time it happens. And if you spot a Machina portal with resonators that are not a power of like 5%, 10%, 15, 20, 25%, you can pretty much be sure that that's been attacked by an agent, especially if you see resonators that are missing or resonators with odd charges, 12%, 8%, something like that. That's going to be agent action. Now, again, when it links and levels or hits that 5 hour, it's going to bring it up or bring it down to the 5% level. So you may not see that action by that agent very long on the portal. So those things change. So let's look a little bit at some of the stats and things that I've been looking at a portal for quite a while here, and you'll notice that it was at one for a little while. It took it a couple days, and then it became 2, and it stayed at 2 for a while, and then it started to move up. So it went 1, stayed at 0, do portals for a few days, then it went 6, 8, 16, and then it kind of sine waved off, 7, 9, then 25, 8, 9, 4, 1, 11. So you can see from the graph, the red line kind of shows how many new portals. And what we're seeing there is that it's a 2 or 3 day span. In my case, it looks more like 3. That if there's a portal that has linked in about 2 or 3 days, there'll be a number of those that will level, link, and or send out links. So they may level up or they may just link, but they don't seem to do that every day. There's some that do because the time period's different, but it kind of seems to be a sine wave up and down for the new portals. As for the growth overall of that area, it's definitely going to be something that just keeps going up and up until it hits saturation, when it doesn't have anything more. So here you can kind of see an example of this all started, the mess that you see in the middle there. I think there's 80 some portals that are in that cluster, probably more. We can see here in a minute. That started from just one Machina portal. Now, again, it took it like 15 days, well, closer to 20 days to grow to this bit. So this particular one that you're looking at on the screen on the right-hand side is what I would consider to be the seed portal for this cluster. So out of all of the links and all of the ones that you see, this is the only portal in all of that that only has outgoing links. So that tells me that had to be the origin portal. And I know that because in this particular case, I had pruned it. So I had killed everything except this one portal, which was L8 at the time. And it just took it a couple days, and then it made one link, and the portal that it shot out to grew into an L8. They pretty much stayed at L8 for the whole time, and nothing else has really grown. Now, that could just be this portal. I mean, this cluster. It's just the way this cluster works. But you notice it has 21 outbound links. Let's get in a little closer to that portal. And you can see that cluster. And you can see there's very few neutral portals that are left. So I'm thinking this has kind of hit its saturation point. And you notice there's longer links that are going to the left and to the right. Those have just started in the last day or two. There were a couple on the first day. But now when it's starting to level and link, it's looking for places to go. So some of the plugins that you might want to get that help out a lot, one of the ones is a portal list. Is actually a handy plugin. So if you look at the portal list, you can see, of course, all the different ones that are there. And this one's pretty full of Machina. But you can click on any one, and then you can only see that type. So right now there's 81 that are in the particular view I have, and there's only 4 neutral portals left in that area. As for why those have stayed neutral, I can't really say. I don't really know. But you can also widen out and see things. And you'll notice that it's starting to make jumps to portals about 3,800 kilometers away. So we're not seeing things that are overly long. But yeah, this one, 3790 is how long that particular one is. So you can see how it kind of grows that way. If you get the Machina tools, you can get some other things in your IITC. So you can have find seed, cluster details, find parent, and raw data. So when you look at the raw data, here's all the information for that particular portal, and gives you information. The one thing that you see here that's probably really important is the entity timestamp. And so this particular portal, it looks like it's 3:32 a.m. that this particular portal is going to have some sort of action. So that's that 24-hour clock that we talk about, and that'll change every day. The other thing that you can look at is the cluster details. Now the cluster detail, this is pretty neat. It pulls all the information together, and it links back to what it calls depths. So if we go all the way to the bottom here, you can see that the blue stem is depth 8, which means there were 7 links to get to that blue stem trail marker to get there. So it's like a link snake that gets that far out. So you can see information as to depth 0 would be your seed or your parent, so to say. Well, not really your parent, it would be your seed portal. So the other one it has is find parent. So let's start with this one. So which one did this one link from? It linked directly from burrowing catfish, which was my seed portal. Let's look at this one here, and we'll find the parent. So great egret and find its parent, woodland trail and find its parent, honey locust and find its parent, Ballard's footbridge and find its parent, burrowing crayfish. So you see that particular one took a lot of hops to get to that. So a lot of information that you can get on the Machina cluster. How's that going to help you when you play? Well, if I was going into this area and say that I wanted to clear it out and boost my stats for Machina hunting and things like that, I would definitely, let's pick one. We know this one's got a bunch. I can find the seed, and that'll feed me all the way back to the one that started it all. And you notice that this only has outgoing links. It doesn't have any incoming links. So if I'm cleaning, that's going to be the portal that I'm going to try to leave. And I'll clear out everything else. And then it might take it a week, and it should start to grow back. Again, depends on what you want to do. If this area, and it's starting to become this problem for me, if this area is you're using links and it's blocking, you may not want to do that. You might just want to clear it all out and just wait to see if it comes back. We have found that if you leave one and leave plenty of neutrals around it, it'll grow back fairly well. Of course, if you clear them all out and you take them all, you claim all the portals in that area, it's not going to come back because it has to have a neutral portal to come back. Eventually, when it goes neutral, it may come back again. So, a lot of new things. Some things good, some things bad, some things here, some things gone. So, maybe I'll see you in the field sometime soon, agents. So long.